After spending over 8 years in the self-publishing business, I've seen my share of and used many companies for self-publishing books. These are the 10 best self-publishing book companies in 2022. Number 10, Blurb. Now these guys distribute primarily ebooks and print books. They're also known as an aggregate publisher. Now to briefly explain what aggregate publishing is, because we're going to bring it up numerous times throughout this video, they're essentially a middleman to where they distribute your book to other avenues on your behalf, and usually they collect a portion of the revenue that comes back from the sales. Now for Blurb, they distribute to their own bookstore. They have Apple Bookstore, Google Play Bookstore, Kobo, Amazon, and also an API integration you can put into your website. Pretty cool. The royalty rate for ebooks is 100% of net profits after conversion fees. More on that in just a second here. Now print books, the royalty rate is unclear. Now this could probably be on me. I probably should do some better research. I should probably reached out to them. My apologies to you, Blurb. If you are watching, by all means, let us know what your print book royalties are. It was not easy to track down. Now the pros of Blurb include stellar print quality with plenty of options. I mean, the quality is second to none. They also have wide distribution. They also have 100% of net profits after the ebook conversion fee. Now, I'm gonna bellyache about that here in just a second, but it's a small bellyache and it's nitpicky. At any rate, the cons of Blurb is the base costs for the print books is relatively high. Therefore, you've got to drive your retail price up even higher, or you're going to get a lower payout. They also have totally different specifications for their print books versus other platforms, because I know I could usually take an interior and a cover from KDP and put it over Ingram Spark and vice versa with no issues. So these different dimensions also mesh up all together. So there's also these conversion fees for ebooks. Now, it's like $4.99, and considering you get 100% of the net profits, I think that's not really unrealistic or unreasonable. Number 9, Lulu. Now I've talked about Lulu a time or two, and I've even talked with the Lulu team here at some point or another. Big shout out to Chelsea Bennett. They distribute ebooks and print books. They are an aggregate publisher, and they distribute over to Lulu, Lulu Express, which also has the Shopify integration on your website, which by the way, they also launched Lulu Direct, which integrates with WooCommerce, that is a plugin for WordPress, meaning that you can fulfill print books through your website. And if those aren't enough, there's always a website API integration that you can build out. You're going to definitely need to get a good website developer in order to get that going. There's Amazon distribution, Barnes & Noble, and they also have Ingram Book Group distribution. Now, when it comes to the royalty rates, the ebooks are 90% of net profits. Okay, net profits mean, since it's an aggregate publisher, the earnings that come in, obviously the people are going to be taking their cut on that given platform, making the sale, and then it's going to be coming through Lulu, who is going to take 10% of that, and you'll get 90%. Now, you get straight 90% though on the Lulu store, which is kind of cool. Print books though, it's 80% of net profits minus print fees. The print costs are kind of steep, but I have to tell you, that's what leads me to the pros. They've got excellent print quality, and they have unique options including spiral bound notebooks, calendars, photo books, and so much more. You can even do comics. What? And magazines? Yeah, Lulu's got you covered. They've got wide distribution, and here's the big plus. They just celebrated their 20-year anniversary of being in the business. So that means this company's not going anywhere. The cons? I don't like their quarterly paydays. It just, can we make that sooner? It'd be kind of nice to see that, monthly, but I don't know. They also have a little bit of a rocky past, though they've done their best to clean it up. I know there was a little bit of a debacle back in 2020 when they were switching over to a new platform and a new layout, and it created some really big problems for the author community, but they've really done their best to get that cleaned up, and they're actually doing quite well these days. They do have slower print fulfillment times. Now, understanding that Amazon has absolutely spoiled customers out there with a 2-day delivery, it's raised their expectations, so getting a book to your doorstep in 2 weeks is just absolutely unacceptable to most readers out there. I hope that Lulu can address that issue someday soon. Number 8, Publish Drive. Publish Drive handles it all. Ebooks, paperback, and audiobook distribution. Now, they're aggregate publishers as well. They have 30 different avenues. Now, this means they have wider reach than you would see in any other platform. Because they're aggregate publishers too, they also reach a different avenue that is really not reached much, and that's China. That's pretty impressive to me. Now, the royalty rate is 100% of net profits. There's an asterisk next to that because they don't do revenue share there. They used to, but they gave it up a couple years ago, and now they're a subscription-based aggregate publisher, meaning that you've got to pay a monthly fee for the publications you host on their platform, and it's per number of books that they charge you per month. Now, the pros include they have super wide distribution. You get 100% net profits, and it's also a one-stop shop. You get your ebooks, your print books, and your audiobooks all in one space, and I'd really love to have just one single dashboard, but sadly, I probably wouldn't have this top 10 list now, would I? Now, the cons include the monthly subscription. I mean, you're going to have to gamble on yourself on this one. You're going to have to invest just a little bit if you want to get that wider reach through Publish Drive, and you got to pay for it through a monthly subscription. So I anticipate if you have a few sales per month, it'll at least mitigate those costs and put you into the black as opposed to functioning in the red. Some avenues are questionable for gaining any sales or exposure. I mean, some of them I'm like, I don't even know what that is or where that's at. I'm sure maybe someone's familiar in that neck of the woods or some other region, but not here. And I really never seen any sales come for them. And speaking of those little avenues, sometimes they're the slower ones to delist your title if you want to end up going exclusive to one platform. Those ones are always the ones that take their time, and it just seems to take forever until finally, a couple weeks later, you'll have it finally delisted. Number 7, Drafted Digital and Smashwords. Now, I've got to mention both of these guys together because Drafted Digital more recently acquired Smashwords, so they're now all one company. They have ebook and paperback distribution. They are aggregate publishers that reach dozens of different platforms between the two of them. And it's like, it might be like 17 or something like that. It's a lot. Their royalty rate works like this. Ebooks, it's 90% of net profits. Now, it varies per avenue again on how much you're going to end up seeing. They actually have some numbers that they crunched on there, and they said sometimes it will be an average of, say, 60% of the retail price. Again, it varies. Usually it shakes out to that much, but it'll depend. Paperbacks, though, it's 45% minus print costs. Now, distribution, you get about 17 avenues, including library distribution for your ebooks, and you get print book distribution to Amazon and through the Ingram Content Group. What about the pros and cons of Drafted Digital and Smashwords? Well, they've got superior customer support. Drafted Digital has an amazing free automated interior formatting tool, and they also have direct integration with Findaway Voices, which does audiobook distribution. Now, the cons of Drafted Digital and Smashwords is print is still in beta. They are still ironing out the kinks. They're trying to make everything right. So hang in there. If you don't have access to it, I know you can reach out to them and ask for it, but don't expect to be marveled by everything because they're still working on stuff. And the recent merge could possibly create some issues. Now, this is completely speculative because I don't know the inner workings of things like that. And that's really it. I can't complain about anything else on these two companies. Number 6, Google Play Books. They handle ebook distribution and, to a certain extent, audiobooks. This is an Amazon alternative. Their distribution goes to all the Google avenues, including 70+ regions. It's a ridiculous count. The royalty rate is 70% regardless of the price. Now, the pros of Google Play Books is, well, it's Google. It's the world's most used search engine, so putting your book on there is just a given. You're going to get a few readers there. The royalty rate is set with no exceptions. They used to have some kind of same system that Amazon KDP uses. Not anymore. They said, yeah, it's 70%, screw it. And also they have something called book sample indexing. So if you have a sample of, say, the first 10% of your book, they actually take the text in there and use it in search engines, meaning that your book is becoming more discoverable through the search engine. Pretty cool, right? Now the cons, I gotta admit to you, the user interface is very clunky. Now, also you have to apply to get an account. Sometimes, other times you don't. They open it and close it as often as I care to not even mention at this point. It gets ridiculous after a while. So try to apply for an account if you can. Audiobook distribution is totally inaccessible. You want to get there, you've got to use places like Findaway Voices to reach Google Play Books for the audiobook distribution. By the way, you're going to see a repeat pattern over the next few companies I mention here. Number 5, Apple Books for Authors. Now again, this is ebook distribution and to a certain extent, audiobooks. Now, they are another one of the Amazon alternatives. Their distribution reaches 51 Apple stores. The royalty rate is 70% regardless of your pricing. The pros include now it's available to non-Apple users. For years there, you had to have a Mac or you had to do some type of a cloud thing with Apple and blah, 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 or whatever. It was just too much work. Now everyone can do it. Now they have wide distribution. It's really great royalty rate as well. When it comes to the cons, there's too many dashboards and it gets so confusing because you
have to have an iTunes Connect account, and then you gotta go over and open this up, and you gotta pat your head and rub your stomach, and after a while you're just kinda lost.
Not to mention, it's kinda clunky sometimes. It's like Google Play Books also. There's no direct audiobook distribution, which it's just like, I can go use Findaway Voices, sure, but man, it would be nice to go right over to Apple with my audiobooks. Number 4. Barnes & Noble Press. They handle ebooks and print books, and to a certain extent, audiobook distribution. Now, they're also an Amazon alternative. They distribute their ebooks to 12 different regions, and print only to US. Yeah, no 12 regions. The royalty rate works like this. Ebooks is 70%, print books are 55% minus the print fees. Now, the pros is, oh my goodness, excellent print quality. I know I've said this quite a bit, but there's a little bit of an asterisk here, okay? And I'm gonna get to it in just a little bit here, but we're gonna stick with the pros. It's got an easy user interface, and it's also great for US authors, but there's also limitations here. Let's talk about the cons, and that's the limited reach. Also, the print book formatting is a pain in the butt. Like, they have really strict standards, and if you don't get it dialed in, you're out of luck. Also, audiobook distribution is inaccessible, same as before. Use Findaway Voices for distribution there. Okay. Number 3, Kobo Writing Life. They handle ebook and audiobook distribution without an asterisk. Oh, that's nice, right? Now, they are an Amazon alternative like those past few I was just discussing. The distribution goes with ebooks to 14 regions with 22 platforms. Audiobooks goes to 6 major regions plus 4 distribution sites. The royalty rate works just like this. Ebooks is 70%. Audiobooks, this is where it kind of gets crazy. We can pop up the algorithm in front of my face on this one. 35% royalties for audiobooks priced $2.99 or lower, and 45% royalties for audiobooks priced above $2.99. So the lesson is, price your audiobook above $2.99. So the pros when it comes to this platform, Kobo Writing Life has access to Overdrive with no revenue share. Now, there's other avenues like Drafted Digital and Smashwords that you can get Overdrive, but through Kobo, you don't have to worry about splitting that cut through Overdrive. They also have, in my opinion, the best user interface of all the options I mentioned in this video. And they also have Kobo Plus subscription. It's like Kindle Unlimited, but for Kobo. And the nice thing is, you as an author, you don't really have to opt in to an exclusivity program. You can just opt in and that's that, and still publish elsewhere. Now, the cons when it comes to Kobo Writing Life, I've yet to try direct audiobook distribution. I know, that's on me. That's not them. I just need to take the time for myself. So I'm sorry, Kobo. I hope you forgive me. I'll see you at the Christmas party. And also, they've got that weird audiobook royalty structure, but I guess it's pretty clear. Just price your books above $2.99 if you want the best royalty rate. Number 2, Ingram Spark. They handle ebook and print book distribution, and they are the widest reach of all the platforms. In fact, some platforms even rely on their parent company of Ingram Content Group to distribute their books. These guys are aggregate publishers. Now, they have a distribution to 6 regions and 36 different distributors. And they also boast over 40,000 retailers and libraries. What are they? We don't know. We'll get to that in just a second here. Now let's discuss the royalty rate. Ebooks, you get 40% of net profits.
What? 40%? Versus the other platforms where it's, say, 90% or 85% or even 70% or even the lower end of 35%, but these are 40% of net profits.
That doesn't make sense to me. I've never used Ingram Spark for ebook distribution for that reason alone, because I can go to some of the avenues straight and just get my full earnings from them as opposed to just a little bit of it. Now the print books though, this is where I go to them for. They have a variable percentage. You'll get paid 45% to 65% minus print fees. The pros of Ingram Spark. It is the widest distribution you can kind of go for. Amazon uses the parent company Ingram Content Group for expanded distribution, so this tells you that they really like the distribution there. You also get brick and mortar distribution distribution, or at least the option to get there. And also it has great print quality. Now the cons include this: you gotta bring your own ISBN. Though it's free in the US, you still have to account for the other thing. It's pay per upload. You've got to pay $49 for uploads and $25 for updates. Now, you could mitigate costs with coupon codes. You can kind of search around for some of them sometime, but that can't be used in conjunction with that free ISBN in the US. You can have one or the other. My other big issue with them includes the lack of transparency and customer support. I've had numerous viewers who have reached out complaining about how customer support sometimes doesn't even get back to them, or they give them an answer that has nothing to do with what they sent in a support ticket for. And also lack of transparency. I don't like the fact that they tell us that it's going to 40,000 different avenues, but we don't know what those ones are. Why can't we see a list? And I know privacy is a concern, but shouldn't that be a concern of ours as well, considering that that's where our books are going to be going to? Number 1, Amazon KDP. I think you knew that this was the direction that we were going to. They have ebook and print book distribution, and hardcover options are in open beta right now. So that means they're still working on some things, and I'm sure distribution will start to increase for those in due time. Speaking of distribution, ebooks reach 13 Amazon regions, and the print books, well, paperback reaches 9 regions plus expanded distribution. Hardcover reaches 7 regions with no expanded distribution yet. Now, the royalty rate works like this. Ebooks, you get 70% if you price your book between $2.99 and $9.99. Anything outside of that, you get 35%. So they will penalize you if you do not price your ebook where they like it to be. Now with print books, it's 60% minus print fees, and it's 40% minus print fees for expanded distribution. And as you remember, Ingram Content Group handles distribution there for them in that avenue. The pros of Amazon KDP: it's got the biggest audience reach. It's easy to learn, easy to use. Every bit of information you can find between this channel and other people's channels, and even Amazon's got a jumpstart program you can do 100% free. Like, it's easy, and it's great for newbie authors, folks. Now the cons, I gotta admit, I just don't like that pricing incentive or penalization system, if you will. Is penalization a word? We're gonna go with that today. Hardcover's still in beta. I can't bellyache about that too much. I'm just glad that they finally got it. Yeah, it's got less reach, and yes, it's got less options, but I'm sure it will grow in due time. And the last bellyache and gripe I've got is there's no audiobook integration. I would really love to one day see ACX being integrated in with KDP, much like they did with CreateSpace into KDP back in 2018. Speaking of Amazon KDP, do you hear about their Kindle Unlimited program? Well, what kind of shenanigans are going on over there? There's a lot of chicanery going on because you can become an Amazon best-selling author without selling a single copy. I'm not making this up. Come see it in this very next video.